There are numerous texts from various time periods and locations that discuss various aspects of their lives and teachings. These texts include both canonical and non-canonical sources, with the latter often being subject to more debate and uncertainty as to their accuracy and historical value. The interactions between Jesus and Mary in the canonical Gospels are relatively few, but they are significant. Mary Magdalene is the first to see Jesus after his resurrection, and she is also the one who is commissioned to tell the disciples that he has risen. This suggests that Mary Magdalene had a special relationship with Jesus, and that she was one of his closest followers. The identity of the disciple Jesus loved is a matter of debate among scholars. Some scholars believe that it is John, the author of the Gospel of John. Others believe that it is Lazarus, the man whom Jesus raised from the dead. Still others believe that it is Mary Magdalene. The question of whether Jesus was married is a matter of speculation. While there is no definitive evidence to support the claim, and there is no way to know for sure what Jesus's personal life was like. However, the evidence that is available does suggest that the possibility of Jesus being married cannot be ruled out entirely. Some are quite suggestive, as you will see. John 19 verses 26 to 27, Jesus then seeing the mother and the disciple whom he loved, says to the mother, "Women, behold your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Behold your mother," and from that time the disciple received her in the same way. John 21 verses 20 to 23, when Peter saw him, he said to Jesus, "Lord, what about him?" 21 Jesus said to him, "If it is my will that he remains until I come, what is that to you? You follow me." 22 So the rumor spread among the brothers that this disciple would not die. But Jesus did not say to him that he would not die. But, "If it is my will that he remain until I come, what is that to you?" The passage does not explicitly state that the disciple Jesus loved was his wife. However, some scholars have interpreted the passage to mean that Jesus and the disciple had a special relationship that was more than just friendship. They point to the fact that Jesus said to the disciple, "You follow me." This suggests that the disciple was a close and trusted follower of Jesus. Other scholars have argued that the passage does not refer to a romantic relationship at all. They point to the fact that the passage is ambiguous and that it could be interpreted in several different ways. They also argue that the early Christian church would not have included a passage about Jesus' marriage in the Bible, as this would have been seen as a challenge to the traditional view of Jesus as a celibate figure. Ultimately, the identity of the disciple Jesus loved, and the nature of their relationship is a matter of speculation. There is no definitive answer to these questions, and each scholar must come to their own conclusions. The Gospel of Thomas, which contains a saying attributed to Jesus that reads, "I will make Mary male, so that she too may become a living spirit resembling you males. For every woman who makes herself male will enter the kingdom of heaven." Some scholars interpret the saying to mean that Jesus was referring to Mary Magdalene becoming his wife. The Gospel of Philip, which refers to Mary Magdalene as the companion of the Savior and the one who knows the secrets of the kingdom. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which contains a dialogue between Jesus and Mary Magdalene in which Jesus says, "I will tell you a mystery. No one knows who I am except you, and no one knows who you are except me." Some scholars interpret this to mean that Jesus and Mary Magdalene had a special relationship that was more than just friendship. The Gospel of Jesus' Wife, which is a fragment of papyrus that contains a few lines of text that appear to refer to Jesus as having a wife. However, the fragment is very fragmentary, and its authenticity has been disputed. However, it does date to the relative time period. It is important to note that all these sources are considered to be non-canonical, meaning that they are not included in the Bible. They were written by separate groups of Christians, and they reflect a variety of different theological perspectives. However, that does not discredit them altogether, as they have been dated to the correct period. Gospel of Philip, Mary Magdalene is called the companion of the Savior, and the one who knows the secrets of the kingdom. Gospel of Mary Magdalene, Jesus has a dialogue with Mary Magdalene in which he says, "I will tell you a mystery. No one knows who I am except you, and no one knows who you are except me." The passage in the Bible that refers to the disciple Jesus loved. Some scholars believe that this passage refers to Mary Magdalene, and that it suggests that she was Jesus' wife. The interactions between Jesus and Mary Magdalene in the canonical Gospels. These interactions suggest that Jesus and Mary had a close relationship, and that Mary was one of Jesus's closest followers. The interactions between Jesus and Mary Magdalene in the non-canonical Gospels. These interactions are more explicit, and they suggest that the two had a more of a physical relationship. 1. The Gospel of John. In the Gospel of John, Mary Magdalene is a significant figure in the life of Jesus. She is present at the crucifixion of Jesus and is the first person to see him after his resurrection. When she sees him, she calls him Rabboni, which means teacher. 2. The Gospel of Mark. In the Gospel of Mark, Mary Magdalene is one of the women who goes to the tomb of Jesus on the morning of the third day after his crucifixion. She is the first person to see the empty tomb and is told by an angel that Jesus has risen from the dead. 3. The Da Vinci Code. In the popular novel The Da Vinci Code, Mary Magdalene is portrayed as the wife of Jesus and the mother of his child. This is a controversial and historically inaccurate idea that has been widely debunked by scholars. 4. Catholic tradition. In Catholic tradition, Mary Magdalene is regarded as a repentant sinner who was forgiven by Jesus and became one of his closest followers. She is celebrated as a saint in the Catholic Church, and her feast day is July 22. 5. The Gnostic Gospels. In some of the Gnostic Gospels, Mary Magdalene is portrayed as a key figure in Jesus' teachings and is highlighted as a spiritual leader in her own right. These texts are not considered part of the canonical Bible but are still studied by scholars and enthusiasts. Overall, the relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene is complex and multifaceted, with different interpretations and depictions across various sources and traditions. The Talpiot tomb and various writings that mention Mary and Jesus have been analyzed by scholars and historians in an attempt to piece together the historical puzzle surrounding Jesus and his potential familial relationships. However, it is important to note that the interpretation of these materials is not always straightforward, and that scholars and historians often disagree about what they mean and how they should be understood. Regarding the Talpiot tomb, it is certainly intriguing that a tomb containing ossuaries with names that are similar to those associated with Jesus and his family was discovered in Jerusalem. Some scholars have argued that this tomb provides evidence that Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene and had children, while others have questioned whether the inscriptions on the ossuaries are related to the historical Jesus at all. Overall, the Talpiot tomb and various writings related to Mary and Jesus provide a rich source of historical and religious material, but they also remind us of the complexity and uncertainty of historical inquiry. The interpretation of these materials requires careful attention to historical context, language, and culture, as well as an openness to the possibility that our preconceived notions and assumptions may be challenged or even overturned by new evidence and insights. The Talpiot tomb and various writings that mention Mary and Jesus have been analyzed by scholars and historians in an attempt to piece together the historical puzzle surrounding Jesus and his potential familial relationships. However, it is important to note that the interpretation of these materials is not always straightforward, and that scholars and historians often disagree about what they mean and how they should be understood. Regarding the Talpiot tomb, it is certainly intriguing that a tomb containing ossuaries with names that are similar to those associated with Jesus and his family was discovered in Jerusalem. Some scholars have argued that this tomb provides evidence that Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene and had children, while others have questioned whether the inscriptions on the ossuaries are actually related to the historical Jesus at all. In terms of writings that refer to Mary and Jesus, there are numerous texts from various time periods and locations that discuss various aspects of their lives and teachings. These texts include both canonical and non-canonical sources, with the latter often being subject to more debate and uncertainty as to their accuracy and historical value. One such non-canonical source is the Gospel of Jesus' Wife, a text acquired by the Harvard Divinity School in 2012 that is widely believed to be a modern forgery. Its contents suggest that Jesus was married to a woman named Mary and that this relationship was known to his disciples. Here is the full text. Gospel of Jesus' Wife. 1. Jesus said to them, "My wife." 2. She will be able to be my disciple. 3. As for me, I dwell with her. Another non-canonical text that touches on the relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene is the Gospel of Philip, which is believed to have been written in the 2nd or 3rd century AD. This text was discovered as part of the Nag Hammadi Library in Egypt in 1945. Here is the full text. Gospel of Philip. 1. There were 3 who always walked with the Lord, Mary, his mother, and her sister, and Magdalene, the one who was called his companion. His sister and his mother and his companion were each a Mary. 2. As for the wisdom who is called the barren, she is the mother of the angels, and the companion of the Savior is Mary Magdalene. But Christ loved her more than all the disciples and used to kiss her often on the mouth. 3. And the companion of the Savior is Mary Magdalene. But Christ loved her more than all the disciples, and used to kiss her often on her mouth. The rest of the disciples, they said to him, Why? Do you love her more than all of us? The Savior answered and said to them, Why do I not love you like her? When a blind man and one who sees are both together in darkness, they are no different from one another. When the light comes, then he who sees will see the light, and he who is blind will remain in darkness. Overall, the Talpiot tomb and various writings related to Mary and Jesus provide a rich source of historical and religious material, but they also remind us of the complexity and uncertainty of historical inquiry. The interpretation of these materials requires careful attention to historical context, language, and culture, as well as an openness to the possibility that our preconceived notions and assumptions may be challenged or even overturned by new evidence and insights.